Welcome to Resource at Home. We have the three of us here today on May 6th, 2020, and we're going to be talking about the home office reimagined. We are now more than ever repurposing our homes for working from home, and we want to talk to two of our interior designers on how best to accommodate that new feature. I'm Carla LaBianca. I am a local realtor here in Maplewood and South Orange, New Jersey with Caldwell Banker. I'm also one of the producers for the annual trade show called the Resource Home Trade Show. So without further ado, Nareed, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. My name is Nareed Saeed. I'm an interior designer bi-coastal based out of New Jersey and Northern California. I specialize in kitchens and baths.
And Sarah G.
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah G. I am a residential interior stylist based here in Maplewood, New Jersey. I also do a bunch of work in Brooklyn.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. So today, Bloomberg News reported, ladies, that 80% of the staff of Bank of Montreal anticipates, that's 36,000 members of its staff, 80% may adopt—
So just a few.
Just a few, may be adopting new flexible arrangements that blend working from home with going into the office, even after the COVID-19 pandemic subsides. So I think we're hearing this from a lot of companies, right? That, oh, wow, we can actually work well. We can work efficiently in our homes. Do we need to go back to the office? Do we need to be spending all of this overhead? And so what does that mean for us when we try to accommodate working from home in homes that might not have a home office, might require additional space, or for us to get creative with space? So one of the first things I'd like to talk about are, what is the first thing I do when I know I'm going to be working from home for the foreseeable future, maybe even longer than I anticipated. What's the first thing I do when looking for a space? Sarah, you want to take that?
Sure. I think first you have to really look at what your current needs really are. I have two kids. I need space for homeschool. I have two working adults in my household. We need space for conference calls, just space to spread out and get work done, quiet areas to be able to focus. So kind of taking stock of your house, maybe finding some areas that aren't being utilized. In my house, we have turned our guest bedroom, which is no longer being used as a guest bedroom for the foreseeable future because we can't have any guests.
Right.
It's now a conference call room. It is the music room. It's where all, music Zoom lessons happen. Stuff like that. Our dining table is now a virtual learning center, if you want to put it
as is ours
that way. It's close enough to our home office, so kids can ask questions, but it's not too close so that they're not distracting you constantly. And so look for the spots that aren't getting used, and you can easily set something up in one of those spots, and get yourself going until you can take a moment, step back, and really think about the best way to reorganize your home if this is how we're going to be living.
Yeah, look for the spaces that aren't used. I like that. That's a good sound bite. Nareed, what do you think?
I totally agree with Sarah. You have to start thinking about the spaces that won't be used. I also think you have to think a little bit creatively about the space that you might have otherwise used for something else, if that makes sense. So it's similar, but a little bit different in that I think there's dead space in everyone's home that everyone looks at it and says, oh, that's a perfect place for a bookcase. Because it just seems like, for example, a decorative spot. And I think that you can reimagine it into something different. And one of the things think I had mentioned to both of you is that when I lived in New Jersey, I had a big home and I had 2 offices, one for my husband and one for me, and moved to California and much smaller houses. And not only do I not have a dedicated office for me or him, really all we have is our work table that I'm actually talking to you from now. That's kind of our game table. That's now a work table in the middle of our living room. And an area that I otherwise would have put a bookcase in, and I'll show it to you. It's literally just, sorry, it's my desk.
Right.
And it's a secretary, and when it comes up, goes down, and
It hides everything beautifully too, right?
exactly. And so
Yeah.
that's just, we have to be creative, and I've already been forced into it, I think, by nature of the fact that I had to move to a much smaller house. But I think all of us can probably think differently about our homes, and think about, it's kind of the age-old thing of formal dining rooms and how they went away and we don't
Right.
need them anymore. So I think it's the same kind of thing. Do we really need so much decorative space?
Right. I mean, I think that your point, Nareed, is well taken, especially if you are living in an apartment, especially if you're living in a home where you don't have any additional space, where all of the bedrooms are taken up. And, to Sarah's point, our dining rooms are now being used as the one-room schoolhouse. So yeah, I think finding a wall somewhere, maybe in a room that already is existing for something else, repurposing it a little bit is a great idea. Okay, ladies, let's talk a little bit about what I like to call the jewels in the room, lighting. In particular, when we were starting our Zoom chats, right, for Resource at Home, one of the things we thought about was, well, we have to look great and we have to have lighting appropriately done. So many people are having conversations from their workspaces now with colleagues, and, we're working at computers. We don't want to, go blind or anything. Talk to us a little bit about lighting our spaces. Sarah, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. Lighting is really important. It's actually one of the things that I have found my house is lacking. We don't have lighting above our dining table, which is absolutely fine. In my past life, we had candles for dinner, and that was fine. That's how I grew up. That's plenty of light to eat dinner by. But now,
You really used candles at dinner time?
Yeah.
That's
my
awesome.
parents are hippies.
I love that. Things we didn't know about
kinda,
you, Sarah.
the kids get to light them, and then they get to fight over who gets to blow them out.
That's
like a thing.
fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, and everyone looks great by candlelight.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. But now we don't have proper lighting. It's not only our homeschooling spot, but it's also where we do puzzles, which, I mean, my kids kind of do them too. But for me, these puzzles are really what are getting me through this time. They're the way I relax. And we have a standing lamp now that we kind of move around as needed. And that's just not a good way to go forward. So we've already, put into some renovation plans that we have, adding electric there and putting in some lighting in the dining room. Lighting is really, really important. You don't want to strain your eyes. It also affects your mood a lot. Nareed, I know, loves, a bit obsessed about lighting, right?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
your jam?
Oh yeah, I love it too. So it's interesting because we're in this current situation. I had all these renovation plans for our downstairs unit, which is operating as a family room / schoolhouse. That's actually an apartment unit. And our plans were to like convert it, kind of keep it an apartment unit, but turn it into a guest room and an office. And part of those plans was also to add a bit of mudroom. And so there's no lighting down there. And it had all these horrible fluorescent old fixtures. And when we first moved in, I said, screw it, we'll just leave it. When we go to renovate, I'll go ahead and I'll fix it then. Well, we're here and we're trapped and we can't renovate. And so I literally over the weekend did this crazy DIY project where I converted out every fluorescent fixture and rewired them into LED hubs. just so I could have some light in the meantime. And even that, which was like literally a $5 fix, but per fixture, and there were 4 fixtures, it's been life-changing downstairs for them to do their schoolwork, for me to see the laundry. Like, it's just been really amazing. And, you know, got the hubs on Amazon, and it was super cheap. And then I also did, you know, a thing with my area where I put like a small spotlight, you know, same thing. Oh, I'll get it hardwired. I got a plug-in. I hung it in, and you can barely tell it's a plug-in, and it's fine, and it looks great. And it was like, same thing, like $30 on Amazon. So I think one of the things that this whole situation is forcing me to do is be really creative about what I actually need to spend my money on, and what I really want to renovate on, and what I can actually just kind of make work for now. And maybe later I'll do something else, but it actually all looks pretty great, and I'm fine with it. So I think the whole notion of lighting, the one thing I would say is a task lamp, a small task lamp, whether it's a chargeable USB kind that you can kind of plug into your computer, or you can charge at night, or even just like a small battery operated one that you can kind of put in your spaces, is a really great idea. I added a task lamp next to my son's bedside so he can do some of his reading in bed.
That's perfect. I was going to ask you guys about that. I think the task lamp is so important.
Yeah.
Right? Especially near a computer screen. It really does help so much. Okay. Next, I want to talk about color. What's a good color for an office? Do we want to, do we want soothing? Do we want inspirational? What do you guys recommend? Sarah, do you want to go with that first?
I honestly think it depends on what you're doing in your office. For me, I need most of the rooms, actually all of the rooms except for my office in my house, have some sort of a color on the wall. I need my office to be white so that I can actually look at fabric and see true colors. I need to be able to look at paint colors and not have, my almost black walls influence the colors that I'm looking at. I think you can add color with art very, very easily, which is how I've done it in my office. But I think it really depends on, how you want to feel in your office. Do you want a soothing cocoon? Paint it like a beautiful, rich, dark color. Do you need it to be like bright and airy so that you can, do what I do, color and such? Paint it a white. It really, color like lighting affects your mood. So it should be something that works for you. If you are a cool person, don't go and paint it brown because you'll be miserable. But paint is the cheapest way to add color to your house.
Right.
So it's a good way to start.
Right. Yeah. And artists and creatives, I know that we need white, right? We need to be able to see, can't be distracted. And yet, some people, especially in the age of Corona and where we're living, we want to de-stress. And so blue is a good color for that. It's a calming color. Yeah. Nareed, what do you think about color in offices?
Well, I like white. I feel, I'm pretty consistent. I like white. I like white in general right now. I think that it's interesting. Either I like white or I like really dark, but I think in that respect, my perspective on design is a little different than Sarah's, where I think she's more embracing of color. I'm actually more definitely in the neutral tones in my design aesthetic. And I think part of it is just, again, to Sarah's point, how you respond to color. And I think I'm one of those folks that has so much happening inside here that I need as little outside influence as possible to help me really focus on what I'm focusing on. And that includes kind of my decor. It's I think the way my mind operates. But interestingly, I think that for other folks, it doesn't work that way. Some people really need a vibrant orange or red to feel happy about their work and, being at the computer. So to Sarah's point, I totally agree. I think it depends on your mood and what you need out of your space. For me personally, I like I like as little as possible.
Right. Okay, that's fair enough. So when we hire interior designers and interior stylists, we look to them to give us a sense of what our style is. I mean, your clients talk to you both, you can get a sense of what their style is, but right now you might not be able to get to a client's home. And so when people are redoing their offices or spaces within their homes that they think would be appropriate for their office, tell us how we find what style we are. There's bohemian. You look at House and Home and they said, well, what style are you? Are you bohemian, minimalist, maximalist? Are you neutral? Are you, all these different kinds of style. So Nareed, how do we find our style without necessarily having you in our house to help us tell us?
Well, I definitely think there are a lot of online resources where folks can, funnel through pictures. And I think the one thing I tell, and I use a lot of them with my clients as well, Pinterest or House, people always have a board ready to go of dream kitchens or dream bathrooms or, whatever it is that they're working on. And I think what I always tell folks to do is highlight what you really like about the picture. Do you like the overall feel of it? Or is it that you're really just responding to one piece of it, the color of the wall or the color of the desk? Do you like the style of that desk? Figure out what you actually like about it and then kind of go from there. And there's definitely a weeding process when you start doing that. At least when I start doing that with my clients, I'm sure, Sarah, you see the same thing, that some folks if they called, for example, me, they're looking at my portfolio and they're seeing kind of an eclectic, modern, mid-century modern vibe happening, right? And so I think that's very different than someone who is really traditional or classic. Right. And yet when a client comes to me and shows me a photograph of an all white, elaborate shaker panel kitchen, which is so opposite of kind of where I would go with things. I always say to folks, well, why did you pick that? And they're like, oh, I just like a white kitchen. Okay, well, that's not the same as you like, I'm like, well, do you like the coving? Do you like that detail in the cabinet? No, I don't like that at all. Okay. So you have to kind of start having those conversations of even understanding why people call you in the first place. Now, when people are at home, it's much harder, obviously, to do that for themselves. And so what I would say is, there are some great ways to funnel it out. And I don't mean like a Facebook test. I think there are some real, like, find specific designers you like. That would be my suggestion. Find a specific designer you like and hone in on that, not just a bunch of pictures on Pinterest and House, which are hard for you to decipher. I think look for designers where you resonate with their total style, and that'll help you determine where your style goes.
Okay. And any places where people can shop online and get some good desks and lighting, Sarah? Where would you send people?
I mean, again, it all depends on your style. People, I think, aren't wanting to spend a ton of money right now.
That's right.
The big box, West Elm, CB2, Crate and Barrel, Blue Dot. There are so many online resources. Wayfair seems to be a place where so many people go. You can get good stuff at Wayfair. I have a hard time spending, $112 on a large desk. I feel like there's something wrong there. If not with the quality, then it's how it's made. But that's an option, and that may be where you are right now. Yeah.
Okay. Nareed, tell us what inspires you in your office or your personal space and that lovely secretary. What is the one thing you need for inspiration?
Well, I don't know if it was clear when I showed it, but I actually purposely put my collection of mid-century glass vases on the top of the secretary.
Stunning. Yeah.
That was, and I'll do the same thing. I'll kind of flip it and show, but that's
just beautiful.
That's my happy place. And you can see the light that I put up there for $30.
Really gorgeous.
And that's being able to look at that glass and see the light reflect off of it, and that makes me happy.
Nice. Sarah, what about you? What is your greatest inspiration in your workspace?
I have art hanging on my wall right above my desk is up against a wall, and I have my bulletin board to keep my work stuff organized. But then I have a little funny little collection of small, like ranging from 4 to 15-inch totem poles that I've picked up at wherever, flea markets and
fun.
things. And they're all really odd and different, and I love them. And I also have some funny drawings that people have given me over the years that I've framed, and kids included, and
I
little
love
things,
that.
and just
love
put
that.
up.
Yeah, that is so special, I think, to put up personal artwork.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. What's the one thing you need in your office, Nareed? Utilitarian or art-wise? What is that thing you need? It's not about the inspiration, but you need it to work. Is it a comfy chair? What is it? Tell us.
If I can say 2 things, light.
Go for it.
And my things that I use the most put in an accessible format, meaning my drawing pens and pencils, my ruler, the whiteout,
Nice.
and whatever materials I might be working on for the project at hand. I kind of try and leave it all in an organized way in the space, so that I'm not searching for everything, even within this small secretary. And that's, for me, that's key, so that I'm as efficient as possible and also not feeling frustrated while working.
Okay, I take that as a key takeaway for this conversation is organization, finding a way to organize yourself. I think that's a great point. Sarah, what about you? What's the one thing you need, or the 2 things you need?
I mean, what Nareed said. But also I need a clean work surface. I need to be able to spread out whatever project, the floor plans and the different, samples or whatever I have. I need to be able to see everything kind of out at once as I'm working on a project. And so along with that, because I'm working on more than one project at once, is proper storage.
Right, proper storage. Okay.
I like things put away
Yep.
at the end of the day.
All right, ladies.
Totally agree, Sarah.
Yeah. What haven't we talked about? Nareed.
If I can say one thing on an emotional note during this time for folks, is I think everyone needs to find a little bit of forgiveness for themselves. I think everything is super frustrating right now. Everything is super challenging right now.
It's all still very fresh too.
It's still very fresh. We don't know what the future is. So we're talking about planning things and what we need and where we go. And I think it's good to be proactive and positive. And I also think that everyone needs to kind of give themselves a little hug every day and just kind of be like, okay, I did what I could do. I mean, literally yesterday, I think, you guys saw, like, my to-do list was just to get shit done. Like I couldn't make a real list. I was just like, I'm just going to get some stuff done. And that's going to have to be enough today.
Yeah.
And I feel like the forgiveness in all of us, if I could say, like, that mental health note is what I would leave everyone with, is like, let's just find that moment of peace for ourselves every day.
It's a great point. Sarah, what didn't we talk about?
Try to make space in your life every day for at least one thing that is stupid and makes you happy. For me, it's doing puzzles. For someone else, it might be, building Legos with their kids. I don't know what it is, but
mine's latch hook.
This is what?
Mine's latch hook.
Nice. See, that's great. I mean, do something to sort of distract your mind from the list making and the feeling like, oh, do we have enough toilet paper that will last? Those sorts of things. You can't think about that every minute of the day. And if you have kids, I think it's important to model for them that things are chugging along as normal, even amidst this crazy thing we're living through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. Well, thank you so much, ladies. And to our audience, if you like what you have seen here today, know that we'll be back here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And in a week or two, we'll have a webpage set up. Again, if you like what you see, we're going to be asking you to donate to some special charities that are near and dear to the hearts of the women that started this little resource at home show. So without further ado, everyone, have a lovely week, and we will see you next week at same time, same place. Bye.
Great. Thank you. Bye.